What's going on, friends? So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a workflow that will allow you to build your prospecting database on autopilot. This is going to be a complete game changer when it comes to finding actual customers. Now, this here is a workflow that is designed specifically for people who are building B2B marketplaces, and it will work particularly well if you are building a local business directory or a local marketplace, but still this same strategy can be used for any other type of marketplace for that matter. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is basically an automated version of what I recommend that people do when they are building their prospecting database. When I used to do what I'm about to show you manually, it would take so long, and ultimately this workflow was just going to save you tons and tons of time. Now, the tools that we're going to be using in this video are make.com, which you should probably be familiar with by now, and then I'm also going to introduce two new tools that are going to be absolutely game changing. Now, I'm going to leave links to those tools down below. Just click on them because they're affiliate links and I'll get paid extra money every time you upgrade, and these tools are so good, so I assume you're going to be using this a lot. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm just going to jump straight into how I typically recommended finding sellers for your B2B marketplace. Okay, so typically what I recommend doing if you're just getting started, may it be market research or even starting to build out the first version of your database, I typically recommend going on to Google My Business to see what types of businesses are actually out there. Oftentimes you'll have a bit of an idea of who they are, but oftentimes there are also way more that you just haven't found. And honestly, Google My Business is hands down the best place to look. So what I like to do is I just like to put in a query. So in this case, co-working space, Wellington, New Zealand. And then in here, you'll see a list of businesses that might qualify for what it is that I'm doing. You have ratings, and if you click into every one of them, you'll get even more details like their address. Sometimes there's a phone number, their opening hours, and so on. And so what you could hypothetically do, also there's their website as well. So if you want to go and visit their website, it will take you there, and oftentimes if the website's a thing, it will work. Otherwise, yeah. But again, Google My Business, best starting point in order to get started. Now, the problem with this is that it's very tedious work to basically go through these listings one by one and then adding them to your site. So what we can do is we can actually use a tool to automate all of this, and the tool that we're going to use is called Apify. Now, maybe it's Apify, I don't even care. But basically what this tool does is it allows you to basically scrape various sites. So in this particular example, I'm gonna get information from Google Maps, but there are a whole bunch of different options. So when you click into the store thing, you can see that you can, scrape Facebook posts, do things on TikTok, even, you can get LinkedIn jobs in case you want to build a little job board or whatever it may be. So there are a whole bunch of different use cases, and I'll cover more of them in the future because there's really a lot of really great stuff that you can do with it. But one of the ones that you can use to extract company information is the Google Maps extractor. Now, these modules or these tools are referred to as actors, and the way that it works is that you can essentially simulate what this tool will do by simply adding information. So you come to your actors page, and then all you need to do is just specify some parameters. So I'm going to specify location as Wellington, New Zealand. I'm going to say I want 5 spaces. I always turn on deeper city scrape, and then in here, if you want, you can define the search area. So I'm gonna make it New Zealand, and I'm not going to enter the city name. And then you can also add some additional parameters like what categories are you looking for. So in my case, I am looking for co-working spaces. And if you wanted, you could you could also specify things like, you know, only list places that have 5 stars or all those kind of things, or skip closed places. And then, you know, you can also set other specific parameters. But ultimately, once you have kind of set your parameters, all you need to do is click on save and start. And what will happen is this actor will now go onto Google Maps and it will go and extract all the listings. And so the way that it looks is that it goes ahead, it runs for a little bit. They'll actually start off by giving you some free credit as well, but we'll see in a second that we get results. Oh, and and here we go. So what it does is it extracts all the information from Google My Business. I only set the search to 5 places, but you can see here I've got these 5 co-working spaces. I've got the rating that comes with it. I've got the reviews that come with it. I've got the website that comes with it. I've got the email address, and so on. And, you know, it goes into quite a lot of detail in terms of, you know, the kind of information that you can extract. You cannot get the email address from here, but I'm going to show you how you can still get the email in just a second. But essentially, you can use this tool to basically scrape Google My Business listings, which is a really great way to build your database of potential clients, depending on what it is that you're working on. Now, the question is, well, okay, if we can do it in this tool here, is there a way to actually do it programmatically so that we can actually take information from, say, our Airtable base in order to run these searches? And the answer is yes, and I'm going to show you how now. Now, I've got 2 workflows that allow me to do this. First of all, the workflow that actually starts the scraping tool. So essentially a tool that allows me to click the start button whenever I want to run a new query. And then I also have another workflow that retrieves all of the results from my query and then stores it inside of Airtable. So let's go through this one by one. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to run our scraper. And when we go and look at how we can configure the scraper, we don't actually have the fields like we do in the actual tool. So what we can do in order to specify certain things is to actually just specify the input JSON, which is just the JSON version of you know, the queries that you submit. And so what you can do is when you jump into your tool, you can actually switch from manual to JSON, and it will essentially give you JSON that you can simply copy and paste into your API call in make.com. So let's go in here and you just paste it in here. Now, if you're triggering this from, say, Airtable, what you can do now is you can actually use the values that you've got in your Airtable base to replace the dynamic values. So for example, instead of it always just showing up with Wellington, New Zealand, I actually want to use the city name as the variable that is searched. Okay, and that way I've got, you know, the term that I'm searching for, which is co-working space, the language, the query, and so on. And what happens is when I run this part here, what it does is it starts the scraping tool. Now, basically when this runs, the actual scraping tool will not return any of the results. All that this step does here is it starts the scraper. In order for you to retrieve the results, you're actually going to have to set up a second workflow. And the workflow is kicked off when an actor or a scraper receives a result. And so what you do is you can just jump in, add the Apify integration, and then just use watch actor runs. And basically whenever a run is finished, it will trigger and you'll get a result that looks a little bit like this. And then what you can do is you can get the dataset items, which is just another way of saying you can retrieve the results. And so the results will that we are looking for can be found inside of a data set that has a dataset ID. And the dataset ID that we need to use here can be retrieved from the API call. There's a value down here called default dataset, and we can now use that in here to retrieve the results. And the results that we will get look something like this, will have a bundle with multiple results, and you can really you can run as many of these as you want, but you'll see here now that you have your address, you've got the neighborhood, you've got the website, you've got the name of the business right here. And now that we have retrieved all this information, we can now store all of this inside of our database. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just sending the data to Airtable through a create a record step. And that just goes and looks a little bit like this, where the information simply gets created 1, 2, 1, 2, and all the information is simply stored in here. Okay, so that is the entire walkthrough of how this works. Again, step number 1, we trigger the workflow. Okay. The scraper makes the API call and runs. Then the next step is that our tool goes ahead. It turned off. Okay. Our tool runs, finds the results. So it retrieves the results, and then it creates a record for each of the results, which then gets stored inside of our database, just like that. And just like that, we've started to generate a bunch of listings. Now, the question is, okay, well, how do I retrieve the email address? Now, the way that you can retrieve the email address is by using a tool like AnyMailFinder, or there are a bunch of them out there, but basically when the website is passed through, you can actually use a tool like AnyMailFinder to search for a company's email. And so what you can do is you can just drop a module in here, and then it will ask you, okay, search for an email address by what? And we're going to say domain, and what domain are we looking for? And then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to map the email address, and it will then browse through that site and see whether or not it can find leads or email addresses. So I'm going to leave a link to all of those tools in the description. Feel free to hit them. They're all affiliate links, so I'll get a clip of it. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. You can really expand on these workflows, but ultimately when it comes to building a prospecting database, this is hands down the fastest way to do it. If you're building a B2B marketplace, if there are any questions about it, let me know. If you have any ideas on how this can be improved, this workflow, also let me know. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you back here for the next one. Bye.